everybody, this is Heather Sides. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spokane, Washington. Come to you live every Wednesday night with 3 new project ideas. I show you how I made them, and we laugh and have fun and chat and all that good stuff while it's all going on. Apparently I'm having trouble speaking tonight. Those of you who joined us last week, I want to thank you guys for giving so much support to Jackson when he was stamping. He ended up having so much fun, and I think he kind of knew he'd like it, but he still wasn't totally sure. He's kind of on the fence, but he agreed to do it. And then I could tell he was warming up, as he stamped with you guys, and as he started to make more comments and things like that. And so then when we talked afterwards, he was like, yeah, that was kind of fun. And he said, it was easier than I thought it would be. I said, well, yeah, that's kind of the way it is. And so he did have a really good time. In fact, he spent the rest of the night, he kept telling me that you were no longer my friends, but now you were his friends, and I needed to find an alternative activity for Wednesday nights. So he told you guys when he was done stamping that he'd come back in August to make a birthday card for my mom. But then the next day he told me he might come back before that. So we'll see. And he is saying that he thinks he'd like to try to design a card. And I know a lot of you suggested that I, let go of the reins a little bit and let him do that. So if he is still interested, I'm going to let him design his next card. He may want a little assistance with that, and that's okay too. So anyway, thank you again for such a warm welcome and encouragement to him when he was stamping. He had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys did too. If you are new this week, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And if you are returning, thank you for coming back, continuing to join us and help us build our fun little community. I love watching the conversations that go on while I'm stamping. Sometimes they're directed to me, sometimes you're directing to one another, and I love that. So every week, those of you who are new, I do a drawing. And what I do is, because I encourage everybody to participate in conversation. If you participate in conversation, your name goes into a drawing, and I award the prize the following week. And I wait to track down the names of all the people who commented until right before I go live that following week. That way people who are watching the replay here on Facebook or on YouTube have a fair shot at getting into the drawing as well. So if you're watching the replay and there's not other people to necessarily converse with, or maybe you're a bit of a wallflower and you prefer to just sit back and watch, then just say hello. Tell me where you're from. I love to hear where everybody is from. But definitely make comments, ask questions, talk to one another, any of that kind of stuff. It all qualifies for an entry into the drawing. So a couple things I want to remind you about before we get stamping. There are a couple of great specials going on during the month of June. The first one is our designer paper sale. And you know what? That just made me remember that I need to get this up on my screen so that I can see what is going on, to make sure that I can see all your comments and all that good stuff. So give me just a moment. There we go. I'm up on there. Hey, Joyce. Let's see who else here. We have John and Marcia, Kathy, Joyce. Oh, thank you for sharing, Marcia. Nancy's here. Judy's here. Yes, free shipping today. I was just about to talk about that, Joyce. But thank you for the reminder, because trust me, I can always use reminders. I'd forget my head if it wasn't attached. You know how it is. Talina just joined us. Hey, Talina. And her cat. Talina and her cat. Her cat likes to watch. Let's see. So, anyway, paper sale. Our designer series paper is 15% off during the month of June. So definitely check that out. And then also, if you have given any consideration at any point to joining Stampin' Up!, June is a great month to do it because we have an awesome special going on. Let me start over here. You pay $99, and then you get to pick $155 worth of products of your choice. Normally, you only get to pick $125, so you get $30 extra worth of products this month. Plus, you get a paper pumpkin kit. Plus, you get free shipping on your kit. Plus, you get catalogs and stuff like that. Plus, you get a discount on all your future purchases. So you know, if you're a stamper and you enjoy stamping, this is the best deal we offer, to tell you the truth. And we have a ton of demonstrators who aren't interested in building a business. They just want to be able to get the discount. And you know what? Stampin' Up! Is awesome about supporting that. If you're looking to make a business, maybe make some extra money, Stampin' Up! Is awesome about supporting that as well. And then I follow suit. I support whatever your goals are with it. So I'm happy to help however I can. I also belong to a larger group of stampers. It's an awesome group. Lots of fun ladies and men. Ideas, lots of people post all the time on Facebook with some great ideas and questions and things like that. So you would get that amazing support network as well. So anyway, if it is something that you have ever given any thought to, or maybe you haven't, and this is the first time you thought about it, you can get more information on my website, which you'll see my website in a minute, but it's heathersides.stampinup.net. You can find more information there, or you can send me an email or a text message. My email is my email is stamphappenings@gmail.com, or you can send me a message here on Facebook. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Once you've made your decision, if you decide you want to sign up, you can do that on my website as well. So, and then finally, free shipping today only. So, hey Cheryl, welcome. So anyway, free shipping through midnight Mountain Time tonight. So if there's some things that you've got on your wish list, you want to take advantage of that paper sale, any of that, definitely get that order in tonight before 12 p.m. or is it 12 a.m. Mountain Time, and you can get free shipping on your order, and that's like an 11% savings. So, you know, in a lot of places, that's more than tax. So definitely take a peek at that. So looks like lots of people have joined us. We're ready to get going. I'm so excited. I've got some fun cards for you tonight. So I'm going to turn the camera around. We'll do this week's drawing, or awarding the prize for the drawing, and then we'll get going on our cards. How's that sound? Okay, let's go. Get the camera turned and adjusted, and then spend all this time straightening it because you know I go crazy when it's crooked. So let's see here. Okay, we're pretty close to straight, right? Oh, not now. Now I've adjusted it weird. Okay, so it needs to come up on this side a little bit. I'm just kind of messing it up everywhere, aren't I? Okay, let's see here. I like you to be able to have the information to contact me and my host code and all that while I'm stamping. But I also like to get as much of my stamping space available for you to see as well. Okay, so this week's prize, I cannot for the life of me remember the name of this designer series paper. I was going to look it up before we went live, and I decided to take a shower instead, and then I forgot. So, so you did get me fully showered, which, trust me, that it's a much improved visual than before I took my shower. Hey Nell, welcome. Oh, Joyce, thank you for that reminder. The free shipping is on orders $75 or more. So I'd hate for you to get in there. I know that when I don't hear about specials like that, it never fails. I place an order and then it's like $1 shy of whatever the special was. So $75 minimum order at my website, heathersides.stampinup.net, before midnight tonight Mountain Time, and you can get your free shipping. Okay, so our prize this week, it's this designer's Favored Flowers DSP. Thank you, Susan. I knew someone out there would know it. And it's gorgeous paper. I absolutely love it. And I love that it's got the black background rather than white, because so much of our paper has that white, and I just think this black gives it a very unique look. And then there's some gorgeous grape, solid faceted gems, or I can't remember what they're called. I'm really struggling tonight, you guys. I'm on the struggle bus. And then some twine in kind of the crumb cake color, and so it's really fun to work with. I totally agree, John. John says it's definitely gorgeous paper, and it really, really is. Okay, so this week's winner is Carol. And Carol, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm going to try, but it's Thons? I don't know, and I'm so sorry. But Carol, I don't have your mailing address. So if you want to send me an email at stamphappenings@gmail.com or a message here on Facebook with your mailing address, I can get this popped in the mail to you. So congratulations, Carol. All right. Our first card this week is using the Zany Zoo bundle. You know, I love this bundle. I love the little stamps. And, you know, every time I point this out, I point out this cute little guy and his little, look at his little puckered lips. Love it. Well, we're using him and his little puckered lips tonight. I also used the Stylish Shapes dies. So let's go ahead and take a peek at what we're working with tonight. So this card is what we're making. It's very, very simple, and I think it's adorable. And I love these colors, these greens and pinks together. And here's the inside and the corresponding envelope. And you know, the fun thing about a card like this is I made it with scraps. So the paper actually comes from 2 different paper packs. The envelope is from our Bright and Beautiful Designer Series paper. And then this pattern and this pattern are also from the Bright and Beautiful Designer Series paper. But this one right here is from our, is it Brights? Our Brights Designer Series paper. When I say it's our Brights Designer Series paper, what that means is our colors are split up into color families, and there's either 10 or 5 colors in each family. And when you can get a pack of Designer Series paper for that entire family with all those colors. All of the packs have the same patterns, but it includes all the different colors, and it includes 4 different patterns. So anyway, that's how I did this card, kind of mixed and matched papers. I'm going to put my glasses on ahead of time now. You know, I usually end up doing it in the middle when I realize I can't see. Oh, Susan, I know why it's on your wish list, because it is so darn cute. I love it. And I do tend to gravitate more toward the cute stamps, I think. I think that's just more my style. Okay, so this card, the card base, is a half of a sheet of Designer Series, or I'm not sorry, I'm sorry. It's a half a sheet of basic white cardstock. It's cut lengthwise, actually, so it was 4 1/4 inches wide by 11 inches long. Then I scored it at 5 1/2. So that's the base of our card, and I just did it in our basic white. Let's see. Okay. See, Talina, you should know, get your catalog on hand when I go live. That way you're prepared to look stuff up, because I can never remember what things are called. Okay, so let's do our envelope first. It's just a strip of Designer Series paper that's 2 1/2 inches by 6 inches. And I just like to do it right along the edge. Got a little bit of extra glue right there. You don't want to do too much glue. One, it's wet, so it will warp your paper if there's too much glue. So it just looks kind of funny. But the other thing is too, because you want to get it as close to the edge as you can, if you have too much glue, it kind of oozes out everywhere. Now, it's easy to clean that up if you have an adhesive eraser. That is not a product Stampin' Up! Sells, but it is just something you can get for a couple bucks on Amazon. Now, that being said, next Thursday is my birthday. I'm turning the big 50. So if you place an order between now and next Wednesday, so when I go live next Wednesday, if you place an order that is over $50, this is not lining up quite right. If you place an order that is, I'll just trim it, over $50 to celebrate me turning the big 50, I will send you your own adhesive eraser. Okay, you can see how I got it crooked there, and I wasted too much time, and my adhesive had already started to get tacky and didn't want to come off real easily, so I'm just going to trim it here. There we go. It's a little bit shoddy there. Not quite as smooth as I typically like. But you know, when something like that happens, it's not like the person is going to send the card back to you and say, no, I don't want it now. Thanks, John. Some days I feel a lot older than 50, let me tell you. Okay, so yesterday, just kind of a humorous story. I got to work and my boss had bought me some beautiful flowers, pink, of course, and had a card on it, which I'll show you, and I'll show you her card in a minute because it's funny. But anyway, she told me she did it early because, you know, I work from home a couple days a week anyway, and then I'm also taking next Thursday and Friday off. So she said, you know, I wanted to do the whole black balloons thing and all that, and then you decided to take the day off, and it made me mad. I mean, she said it jokingly. She wasn't really mad, but I thought that was funny. But I have to show you the card that she put and her comment, because she always comes to me when she needs cards for an occasion. She comes to me and says, will you make me a card for this occasion? And then she pays me for it, which I think is very sweet. I would have made it for her for free probably. But anyway, so this is what was on the front of my flowers, taped to the package. But here's the best part, you guys. Open it up. Uh-oh, hang on. Let's cut the tape here. Open it up, and she says, look, I made a card. And that just made me laugh. She's not interested in stamping at all. We've talked about it. She doesn't really enjoy creative endeavors like this. They stress her out. So that just made it that much funnier. Look, I made a card. I thought that was a riot. Okay, so let's get going on our card. Now what I have here first, I have a lot of little pieces, lots of little pieces. Let's do the inside first, because it's super easy. I have 3 little circles. Golly, I can't even pick them up. 3 little circles, and set that one aside for the moment. And I'm just going to put them in kind of a little triangular pattern here in the lower corner. Most of you know I like to put something on the inside of my card, some point of interest. I tend to leave a little more room for writing because I print really big. But you know what? You do whatever works for you. But I tend to like to leave a little more room, but I also like to put something in there to decorate, to catch the eye, whatever. So I thought this was kind of different and kind of fun. And I'm just using my liquid glue. Stampin' Up! Carries all different kinds of adhesives, and you'll see I'll probably use several different, well, I will use several different ones tonight. But see, I just, quick and easy, little bit of color on the inside of the card. Then I have all of my strips that I made, that I cut out, and they're 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4, I think. Oh, yeah, 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4, and I've got 2 of each. And then what I chose to do, I wanted them to pop up, and I decided to use my foam adhesive sheets. You get a pack of 6, and they're this size. They're 4.5 by 4.5 inches. And I love the foam adhesive. It's so nice and easy to use. However, dimensionals, if you don't have the foam adhesive sheets, but you've got dimensionals would work just fine. But I just felt like it was going to require a whole lot of dimensionals to do all these little strips. So I cut up one of my foam adhesive sheets so that it was in little strips that I could just easily put on the back of each of these strips. So a nice, easy way to make this card quicker and easier. It's a pretty quick and easy card to begin with. But little things you can do like that make it even easier. So let's see here. There we go. I'm kind of making a mess already, aren't I? Okay, I seem to have an extra strip here. That's funny. Okay. The other day, Jackson sent me a text at work, and he said, Lucy keeps running over to me with strips of paper in her mouth. Oh, let's see. It's a little closer to the edge than what I like. He says, Lucy keeps running over to me with little strips of paper, and I think they're just garbage. But you might want to check your supplies for this week's cards before you make them, because I can't guarantee she's not getting them out of that, which I thought was pretty funny. Okay, so as you can see, the foam adhesive is You can pull it up if you haven't really pressed it down too hard, but it can be rather unforgiving. So it is better to pay attention to what you're doing. You know, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so I'm just putting these in the order that I want them. There we go. On my card. Let's get rid of some of this garbage here. Okay, now what I did, because I wanted to make sure things lined up quite right, I went ahead and found the center of my card and I just lined it up like this with my grid paper. And let's see, this square here is 5.5 inches that way. So I want to do it so that it's laying kind of funny, and that's sort of bugging me. So I'm trying to fix that really quick. I want to have this, so it's got 2 3/4 inches from the center here and 2 3/4 inches there. So let me just line this up really quick. Okay, so it looks like that's the line I'm using. There we go. And I really only need to use that for the first 2 pieces, and I'll show you why. I'm grabbing the 2 that are in the middle. Let's see here. And I want it to be just on the opposite side of this line, like so. And I lay it down sort of lightly because if I need to, like say I made it crooked or whatever, and I need to reposition it, it's a lot easier to do if you haven't pressed it down too hard yet. Okay. So those are relatively in the center, but I can see I can already see they're kind of going crooked and not centered as well as I would like. So now I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now what you could do is you could draw really light paper, pencil lines on the paper and then just erase it off. I have found that if I do that and I use like one of those white erasers, it does erase pretty well. As you can see, this is already stuck on my paper pretty well, and I'm not able to really adjust it. I may have to, I'm kind of messing with it now. Yeah, we're just gonna leave it. We're just gonna leave it and say, Heather, we're going for ish, not perfect. Okay, so now I can just line these up this way and place the other pieces as we go. I don't think that's very straight. That bottom one is really off. We'll see if I can lift it. If not, we're gonna go with it. That one's crooked. Well, that one doesn't want to lift either. Oh, it might. It might still lift because I didn't push it down too hard yet. There we go. And when you do this top one, I try to line it up using the top of the card as my sight to see if it's straight. This one isn't necessarily crooked as much as it was just off center a little bit. Okay, it's coming up okay. Now you can see it's kind of lifting my edges a little bit doing that. And if that happens to you and you don't like it, what you can do is then when it's all done, put it like in a book or something to like overnight or whatever to flatten it back out. And that should do the trick. I seem to be very skilled at fixing errors, which means I'm also very skilled at making them. Hey, Teresa, welcome. Hey, Karen. You know what, Joyce? I do the same thing. I run out of grid paper, and then it's like the last thing on my mind when I go to place orders, and forget it. Okay, so yeah, it's something that I use all the time, so you'd think I would remember. Whoa! I just hit the phone. There we go. Let's try this again. Goodness gracious. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. We're going to do a little bit of stamping here. So first I'm going to take my black Memento ink, and I'm also going to get my turtle stamp that I love so much. I'm going to take the musical notes stamp. Turn these over so you can see them. And then I also have the Happy Birthday to You stamp. Happy Birthday to You is going to go on this little green circle. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. So, hang on. We're gonna fix this because that's bad. That's really bad. Okay. Now, what we can do, since I have to cut it out anyway, get rid of some of that extra ink that's on there from me squishing it a little bit. How does that look? Okay. What we can do is go ahead and stamp it on our paper before we cut it out with the die cut machine, because we can, and then we know our words are perfectly centered. So we'll cut that here in just a minute, but let's do the rest of our stamping first. I'm going to stamp my little turtle guy, ink him up. Ooh, he's got a lot of extra ink on his head. Okay, and I'm stamping him kind of off to the right, just a little bit, because I do want to have room for his little music notes. Sorry about the shaking there as I clean off my stamps. And then we're going to just do one little set of music notes. Just like that. I re-inked my ink pad last week and it's still pretty juicy. I may have over-inked it. And then let's go ahead and do that circle really quick. That is one nice thing about our cutting and embossing machines, both the big one and the little one, is they're both portable. So it's really easy when something like this happens for me to grab it and bring it over here to show you guys how to use it. Nope, you can't sweat. You're right. No, you can't sweat the small stuff. There's too much of it to sweat about if you do. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I put that on there. You know, I think it'll be okay. I don't need to tape it in place, but I could tape that in place just to make sure. I think we'll be okay. Yeah, it's going to be fine. But sometimes when I'm doing something like this, I will tape the die in place just to make sure everything stays centered. Okay, there we go. Put my die away. This is a little one, so it would be easy to lose. Okay, put my dies back. Okay. So now let's go ahead and color this little guy. Got a lot of pens here, but there's not a lot of coloring to do, really. I have my light and dark lemon lolly. I have my light and dark lemon lime twist. I do have my dark granny apple green as well. And then I also have light and dark smoky slate. So I'm going to start with the smoky slate just to do his microphone. So these are tiny little pieces here. There. And this little strip through the middle. There we go. And now we'll do the light one just to do the little microphone part of the microphone. Let's start with our lemon lolly. It often, I find, helps to start with my lighter colors and work my way out, because if I accidentally go out of the lines or whatever, sometimes going over them with the next color that's darker gets rid of the problem. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm taking the dark lemon lolly and I'm coloring over these accent lines. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of going along the edge here. I want to have it kind of darker on one side than the other, so it sort of looks like shading a little bit. Now I'm going to take the light one, fill in the uncolored space, and then I like to do little circles like this, just over the line where the two meet so that they blend together. Okay. I feel like that's going to need a little bit more of the dark. Just there we go. Now remember, it will look different as it soaks into the paper, and your shading will show up a little bit better. Now I'm going to take the dark lemon lime twist. We're going to do his little body. And with the dark, I'm just going to kind of go, kind of like I did on his belly, where I'm doing one side. And then his little arms. They're so small, I'm going to do them entirely with the dark. And his little legs, they're so small, again, entirely with the dark. It's hard to shade things when they're so small like this. So now I'm going to take my light lemon lime twist. I'm going to color this side of his face and neck. And then I'm just going to kind of blend where the colors meet. And now I'm taking my dark Granny Apple Green, and I'm just going to do a little bit of accent on his shell. I still wanted to keep it green, but I wanted it to really stand out from the green of his body. And the Granny Apple Green and the Lemon Lime Twist, when you look at the cardstocks, they do actually look pretty similar. But as you can see from the markers, the Granny Apple Green does stand out quite a bit. And so now I'm just going to color these little parts, these accent pieces on his shell. I wonder if there's a name for those little accent pieces on a turtle's shell. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this piece over. I'm going to put just a little bit of adhesive on the back like that. And now I'm going to go like this, so that my ribbon is going to actually go across where the adhesive is. So that holds it in place. So just like that. And now you can see that's what the front of it's going to look like. So now we're going to take some dimensionals and put them all over the place. And these will also help hold your ribbon in place. You know, that the adhesive that we put on at first, it's mainly just to hold it down while you're working with it, but you do want to do something a little stronger if you can that's going to hold it in place. Now if you're gluing it straight down onto your paper, that's going to hold it down. But because mine is going to be raised a little due to the dimensionals, I want to go ahead and use some of those dimensionals to hold my ribbon in place. So I'm using quite a few of them here, but that's why. So I want to move this just a little bit. Move it out a little. There we go. Yeah, there's way more on here than I need as far as dimensionals, as far as the dimension of the card goes, but I did want to make sure I was holding that ribbon down well. So now I'm going to tear off all the little backs. Get our card here. We're going to, oh, I want to trim these just a little bit. That one actually might be okay, but let's trim this one down. Oh. I don't like that this one is at so much more of an angle than the other one, so we're just going to fix that really quick. There we go. There we go. Easy peasy. And we're going to put him just off to the side a little bit. And then I'm going to use dimensionals again to prop up my little thank you. Where do we want to put that? Maybe right about there, I think. And I'm only putting them on one side because part of that is coming off the card, and I don't want my dimensionals to kind of be lopsided. So there. So there we go. Now one final piece, the piece, you know, I always almost forget, if not completely forget, and that's putting on a few little accessories. And so for a little sparkle, I'm using the pastel adhesive backed sequins here. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to lift them off here. And one thing I'm trying to do a little more of, I usually do my embellishments in 3s. And I see people that do them in 5, quantity of 5, and it looks so cute and it really fills things out. But I do it and then I feel like it looks like it's kind of out of balance or whatever. So I've been playing with using different sizes and different number of them. And this card was a really good opportunity to do that. Let's see. The one right there. There we go. So there's our little card with that adorable little singing turtle and his lips. And there's the inside. Got our matching envelope. And there we go. Isn't he cute? Thanks, Karen. Okay, so let's clean up this mess so that we can make a new one. Okay. So our next card, this card uses our artistically inked bundle, and we've got these beautiful stamps. They are designed to imitate alcohol ink blocks, I guess you could say, which is a fun design. It was really popular a couple of years ago. I love this. I think it's a beautiful set. It's got corresponding dies, and I've used this quite a bit. You guys have seen me do a lot with it. So let me show you the card we're making tonight. It's very simple. It uses the Bright and Beautiful Designer Series paper, and it's just this simple little flower in the lower corner. So I don't know. Yeah, I opened it enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Now for this card, the card base is your standard half of a sheet cut horizontally on your cardstock. So it's 8.5 inches wide, it's 5.5 inches tall, and I've scored it at 4.25 inches, just so it folds easier. And that's one thing about our trimmer. Our trimmer comes with both a cutting and a scoring blade. Scoring really does make it so that the fold on your cards is a lot crisper and just easier to work with. Okay, now let's go ahead and do our envelope. Again, we're going to just glue a strip onto the flap, 2.5 inches by 6 inches wide. Remember, be sparing with your glue as you go around. I like to use the liquid glue for this. You could use the other adhesives we carry, but it's really hard to get as close to the edge. Plus, you've got a little time. It doesn't get tacky right away. So, you know, if you're not just sitting here babbling like an idiot like I do, then you've got a little time to sort of wiggle it around and make sure that it's where you want it on your paper. Like you can see right now, I'm lifting it because it just wasn't lining up quite right. I'm getting glue all over my fingers though, which means I'm also getting it all over my card. So I will take my glue eraser and get all that extra glue off. See that right there? That's glue. So I just take my adhesive eraser that you can get for free if you place an order of $50 or more before next Wednesday. And yes, Joyce, this color is one of our new colors. It's called Berry Burst. I think it's a really pretty purpley pink, magenta, whatever you want to call it. Judy, it's one of my favorites too. When this stamp set first came out, it was like the be all end all for me. I loved it. I couldn't use it enough. And at the time when it came out, there was a matching Designer Series paper, and I missed that paper because the paper was just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But as many of you know, Stampin' Up! Every year we retire the designer series paper that's in the catalog so that we can bring out new ones. Okay, so our envelope is done now. Ta-da! Now I have one of these for the inside, I have one for the front, and they are both, at least they should be both, 5 1/4 inches tall by 4 inches wide. So let's go ahead and work with the inside one first. Let's do some stamping. So I've got this scrap here, and then my piece for the inside, we're going to use Berry Burst. We're also going to use Old Olive. And let's see the stamps we want. We want to stamp some leaves. We want to stamp the flower. We want to stamp the sentiment. I chose to go with thanks. And then also, is this stamp with the 3 little flowers for the inside of the card. So let's start with our Berry Burst. There we go. I'm going to set that aside for the moment. Clean off my stamp. Shake the table. All that good stuff. Make you seasick. Okay, now I'm going to take my Berry Burst and stamp this big flower. As you can see, we're going to die cut it. So I'm going to stamp it right there. Isn't that gorgeous? And it's such a rich color. I just love it. Down here while I try to get the edges of my stamp cleaned off. Okay, now this particular set of leaves, you can see it's 2 leaves, but on my card, I used 3. Now we do have, the stamp set does have an individual leaf, but it's so much smaller than these ones. What I chose to do is I stamped 2 sets of this and only used one of them on my other card. So I saved the one that I didn't use for this card. So I now only need to stamp 1 set. We're going to again use Old Olive. I'll put that right there. Okay. And then the word thanks, which I'm also doing with Old Olive. Okay. Now we're going to fussy cut the word thanks, but we're going to die cut the rest. So I'm going to just take my snips and cut this out. For when we're ready to cut it. And then I'm going to just trim this down, because if I make the paper small like this, it will fit through my mini cutting and embossing machine, and I don't have to haul out the big one. Not that it's a problem to haul out the big one. Okay, now this is a situation where I'm going to choose to tape my dies in place. I'm using my Post-it tape. Again, just bought that on Amazon. Okay, got to figure out, there we go. Get the die the right way. And I am going to use a little bit of this tape. Hold on. I'm going to use a little bit of this tape to hold the die in place so that it doesn't move around, and then cut my die. You know, I'm doing this to get my die exactly where I want it so it cuts properly, and you don't want it to move on you. Oh yeah, John says he and his wife were sad to see Rich Razzleberry go. If you aren't familiar with the colors that just retired, it was very similar to this color, but still not quite the same. And you know, that was a color that it didn't really do a ton for me until it was ready to retire, and by then I was starting to use it more and really liking it. Isn't that the way it always goes though? Okay, so line this up just right on my leaves. Get my And the neighbor's outside with her dog, so Lucy feels the need to bark at them because they are clearly not paying attention to her. Lucy. Okay, so I'm going to feed this through my cutting and embossing machine. If you don't have one of these, it's a little bit of an investment. The small one is like $64, $68, something like that. The big one is around $120. You know, if you have a bunch of stamping stuff, but you don't have your a cutting and embossing machine, you can get it with your kit this month if you sign up with Stampin' Up. But anyway, it is a good investment. You guys watch my show, my lives, and you know I use it a lot. See, and again, I'm knocking stuff around. Goodness gracious. I'm out of control tonight, you guys. Okay, so I've cut this, and I'm going to peel my Post-it tape off. Okay, put my dies away. Hey Mary, welcome. Okay. Now for the fussy cutting. It was so funny, you know, Jackson did some fussy cutting last week when he made his card, and he did a great job. But he was mentioning it later, and he couldn't remember what it was called. And, you know, I don't want to say this word on my life in case it's offensive to some people, but I was cracking up because he couldn't remember what it's called, so he called it the B word cutting. So, you know, just say that to yourself, since I'm avoiding saying it. I totally laughed, and I thought, you know, that may even be a better name for it. Okay, so I'm just kind of going around my letters like so. Remember, the trick is move the paper, not the scissors. Lucy. Oh, that's going to drive me crazy. If she keeps doing that, I'm going to have to put her away. Okay. Let's see here. So close to being done. There's your musical interlude for the evening. I used to sing. Did I tell you guys that? Yeah, I used to sing in weddings. I was really involved in the choir in high school. I was involved in our, we had a small ensemble group. I did like the solo and ensemble, I don't know if you want to call it a competition, every year. And then after I graduated, you know, I did some weddings and stuff. And then of course I also was in the church choir and things like that, but I haven't really done any singing for a long time. You know, Teresa, it's really one of those things that you practice it and you get used to it. It gets easier because it's hard to describe the technique. It's more of a feel. And so the more you do it, the more you become familiar with the feel of it. So, okay, so let's start putting our card together. We'll glue this one to the inside of our card. Looks like Talina likes Jackson's name for the cutting better. And if I know Talina, that's probably what she's going to call it from here on out. And she's not wrong. Okay, so the inside's done. Now for the front, I have a piece, I already told you this is 5 1/4 by 4. This piece is just 1/8 of an inch smaller on each side. So it is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. John says Mango Melody is another color he misses. That is not one I used a whole lot. It was a little too orangey of a yellow for me, I think. Okay, but I was disappointed when we got rid of the Mango Melody Stampin' Blends, because when I needed something orange, like for a bird's beak or, you know, his little feet or whatever, I thought it was a great color for that because it wasn't quite such a dark orange as our pumpkin pie. Okay, so there we go. we've got this piece right here, and I'm trying to decide if I like it going up or like this. I think I'm gonna have it go like this time. Okay, I know, decisions, right? Let's go ahead and glue this onto the card. Okay, and now I'm going to adhere my leaves to my flower before I glue the flower down because I'm using dimensionals to glue it down. So I want the leaves to be right up against the flower. Okay. So what I do is I lay the flower down and I think, okay, what direction is my flower going to go? Okay, it's probably going to go this direction. So where do I want my leaves? And I kind of like the idea of one being in this corner, I think. And then two in that corner. So maybe sort of like that. Thing is, you don't want it to look too, what's the word I'm looking for? Too posed, for a lack of a better way to say it, too orchestrated. So a little bit of glue just on the tips of the flowers. Let's see. Now, I'm putting this back down because I want to make sure, you know, what angle do I want this little leaf to be? Because if I wait to do that until I've glued this one on, then it's dried too much to move it. So again, a little glue on the tip. There. I like that. Now we're going to take some dimensionals. And you know me, I'm going to put 1,000 of them on there because that's what I do. That one's a little far over. If they're too far over, they kind of show a little bit behind your card, and you don't want that. So just something to watch for. No, I think I'm going to move that one and put one there. And then, of course, one in the center so the center doesn't sag. Bring my little garbage can over. Symmetrical. That's a good word for it. I told you, I'm struggling tonight. The English language is not coming easy to me. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the flower down like that. Now, I'm going to let you guys give me your feedback on this, what you think. When I made this card, I thought it would be too much dimension if I put dimensionals under the word thanks. So I glued it right on. But then I didn't like how flat it looked. So what do you guys think? Should I put the mini dimensionals on this one to pop it up a little bit? What do you think? I'm kind of tempted to do it just to see how, how it looks different. So let's do that. Let's do it. So I'm going to put a few on here. If you don't have the mini dimensionals, you can just cut up the big ones. That's not a big deal to do. But it's nice to not have to. And then I think I'm going to cut this one in half because I want to put it under those parts right there, and they're definitely a little wide. It looks like everybody's saying, use the dimensionals. So good, we're on the same page here. So now I'm just going to I just cut it in half, and I'm putting each half behind those little sticky uppy parts. Yep, technical terms. Okay. And now we'll take the backs off. Then we throw the word in the garbage, and then we have to fish it out. And then just put it at a little bit of an angle here. There we go. I do like that. Okay, now we're going to finish it off with just a few of our Tinsel Gems 4-pack. We have 2 different packs of Tinsel Gems. One has 3 colors in it, and this one has 4. So let's see here. Oh, where'd it go? There you went. He went to go visit a different color. There, like so. I do like that card, and it's so simple. So simple. So there we go with its matching envelope. What do you guys think of that one? So I'll grab my last card. Now, a funny story to tell you about this last card. Remember how I told you my boss, when she needs a card, she asks me to make it for her. We had a coworker who was getting married, and so we got a gift. Well, she bought the gift, and she asked me to make the card. That's a fair trade to me. So I was just looking on Pinterest for some ideas for cards, and you may have already seen this if you've seen my Facebook page. But an idea that came up was really pretty card with retired products, so I wasn't able to do it. But this really pretty card, embossed, beautiful. But keep in mind that the search terminology that I used, I said, find me cards that are Stampin' Up! Wedding cards. I specifically said wedding. And it pulls up this beautiful card that said, with deepest sympathy. And that just made me laugh because, you know, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's not saying it's wrong. Of course, you could swap out. It was beautiful, and you could swap out any sentiment for it on that particular card. But I thought that was funny. So what I did is I did find a card. I actually kind of cased that one a little bit and made it. I liked it so much, I'm making it for you guys tonight. Okay, so we're using the Go To Greetings stamp set. If you don't have a good sentiment set, I do recommend this one because it's all really basic sayings that you use a lot, but different fonts. So you've got some variety in one stamp set. Hey, Colleen, welcome. And then I'm using my Countryside Blossoms embossing folder. And this is part of that Countryside Inn suite of products that I love so very, very much. So let me show you the card we're making. What do you think? Nice and simple, but I just think it's very, very elegant. And then I put a strip on the inside that's also embossed. And I'm using just a note instead of a wedding sentiment because I don't send out a whole lot of wedding cards. So I've got a half of a sheet. My card base is a half of a sheet of Very Vanilla. And it's 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. Scored at 4 1/4. There we go. Get our nice sharp edge there. Let's do our envelope first. Now what I did here is I did a strip that was 2.5 inches by 6 inches like I normally do. And then I ran it through my embossing machine so I could put it on here. The reason that I did not choose to just emboss the envelope directly, some of our embossing folders, the pattern doesn't quite go wide enough for the envelope, and I don't like that. So I figured it was easier to just do this. Plus, I liked adding the extra color to it, and this is our new boho blue. Hey, Marcia, welcome. Okay, so let's add a little bit of, hey, Robin. Oh, I'm jealous your nap ran over. I'm jealous. Okay. That is one thing I do like about when I work from home, days like today. I didn't do it today because crazy busy time at work right now. But when it's not super busy crazy, I'll take a lunch break and take a nap. Can't really do that when you're in the office. Okay. So we've got a little bit of glue there. make sure I'm going the right direction. Some of the embossing folders, it doesn't matter which direction you go. It works upside down or regular. But this one, definitely, there's a certain side you want to have facing up. Okay. So let's go ahead and trim this just like we would normally. By the way, if you are liking what we're doing tonight, I love it when you give me some thumbs up or the hearts or any of that stuff. I especially love it if you share the video. Those are the kind of things that tell the algorithms on Facebook and YouTube, oh, people like this, and they put my information out there more. So I really do appreciate when you do that. Plus, it makes me feel good. Okay, so we've got our envelope done. The next thing we're going to do is the inside. So I have this strip that I also ran through the embossing machine, and we're just going to put it right here on the edge. So got my adhesive. Okay, this is the back side. And I do find that I use a little bit more of my adhesive if I'm using the snail when I have an embossed piece like this. Just because of all those little nooks and crannies, the adhesive doesn't go into it quite the way like a liquid glue would. A lot of people prefer to use the liquid glue when they are gluing down an embossed piece. Now I am just trying to get this to line up just right, which is easier to do if you use liquid glue as well. So I guess the moral of the story is, Heather, you should have used liquid glue. Okay. There we go. Now it's all lined up. Of course, it's a little bit long, especially if you're putting an embossed piece like this in there. You do want it to be a little long because the embossing process kind of shortens your paper a little bit because, I mean, the paper's got to come from somewhere to give those raised images, right? So, so if you start out with it just the right length, it's going to be just a tad short if you emboss it. Okay, there we go. So, pretty. And now I'm going to take my boho blue ink and my Just a Note sentiment. Be careful not to rock my stamp because I did get a lot of ink on the outer edge of the stamp. There. Clean it off. Okay, and that's the only stamping we're going to do on this card, actually. Most of the card is really just taking advantage of that embossing folder because that's what's so gorgeous on this card. So now I have a piece of the boho blue in 5 1/4 by 4, a piece of the Very Vanilla that is in 3 7/8 by 5 1/4. Now this one, I'm sorry, 5 1/8. This one I didn't bother making it a little big to fit like I did on this inside piece that I was talking about, because if it's a little bit small, it's going to be universally small, and I wanted a margin there anyway, so I'm not worried about it. So a little bit of adhesive here, maybe a little down the middle. And line it up. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and, can't glue it down yet. I'm going to tie my ribbon. I really like this ribbon. It's so soft. It's almost satiny feeling, but it's not. It's hard to explain, but it's beautiful. And we have it in all 5 of our new in colors. The only thing is it does make it a little bulky when you tie a bow, so that is something to watch for. The reason I point that out, if you're not familiar, is because bulky cards, the post office sometimes charges you more for them. So It's not a huge amount more, but it is something you want to be aware of. Because you'd hate to send something out and then have it returned to you and the person doesn't get their card in time, you know? Okay, so let's get this going. I actually want it going this way. So now I'm going to play with my loops and tails to get my bow looking the way I want it to look. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to just kind of wiggle it around because I want it to be a little bit off center. And you know what I should have done before I did this is I should have gone ahead and put all of my gems on there. So we're going to do that first. And I'm using the adhesive backed solid gems. So let's see here. I'm going to take one of the big ones and put it right in the center with that little center flower. And then what I did is I took the little tiny ones, if I was going the right way, I do. Took the little teeny tiny dots, this size, and I put them on a few of the little flowers that are embossed onto my paper, but not all of them. I thought that would be a little bit of overkill if I did too many of them. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of centering around this one right there to give it a little interest without being too much. And then I did these three up here. Whoops. That's the wrong one. There we go. Okay. See how they're spread out, but they all kind of come together to point toward that one in the center. Okay, now I'm going to put my ribbon back on, and all you have to do is kind of cup your paper a little bit so it folds like that for just a moment while you put the ribbon back on, and then you lay it flat again. That way you don't have to retie your ribbon. Now I want it to be off center just a little bit here, like so. And now I'm going to trim the tails. Because this is a little thicker, I am going to use my bigger scissors. There we go. And now let's go ahead and glue this down onto our card front. See, it's another really easy card. You let that embossing folder do the work for you. I love our Very Vanilla. I just think it's so pretty. And there we go. Last card. Gorgeous, right? Oh, good. Joyce said she had invested in her first Stampin' Seal today. I think you're going to really like it. Okay. There we go. It is obviously a little more expensive than your liquid glue, but boy, it's nice and easy. It's not as messy. I really do like the Stampin' Seal. Okay, so let's clean up the mess here and take a look at everything that we made tonight. Move some stuff out of the way so we can take a peek. And again, if you want to take advantage of any of the specials that are going on right now, the paper, the free shipping, any of that, the signing special, you can do it at my website at heathersides.stampinup.net. If you place a purchase, if your order is under $150, if you would please use this host code, that helps me a lot. It helps me to continue to provide these videos and the prizes and things like that for free. But if your order is over $150, let's face it, that's easy enough to do. Don't use the host code because you'll have some free products coming to you. I want to make sure that you are the one who receives them. So yeah, so there's our cards, our little turtle guy, our beautiful flower, our elegant embossing folder. Lots of fun stuff you can do with Stampin' Up! Products. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did tonight. I always enjoy spending my Wednesday nights with you guys, even though Jackson is trying to steal you away and tell me I have to find another way to spend my Wednesday nights so that he can spend them with you, little brat. I do hope you have a great rest of your night and a great week to follow, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye-bye.